Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gore Column, in which we take the time to speak with small impact executives after they put out important news. With us today, and man, he is not taking time off this summer, is Matt Stang, CEO and founder of Delic Holdings, trades on the CSE under the stock symbol DELC, and for our friends in the US under DELCF. To understand Delic, you first have to understand the following. Psychedelics are going to go through a parabolic, paradigm-shifting growth stage in this decade because of their ability to treat anxiety and depression, amongst other things. How big is the market going to be? Not everybody knows, but in our last interview, Matt said, and I'm quoting, I think it's $1 trillion opportunity by the end of this decade. Delic builds itself as a marketplace for the mainstream to access psychedelic wellness. It's not just one thing. It's Delic Labs. It's MeetDelic, and it's ketamine, and it's their Ketamine Infusion Centers that's culminated with an acquisition announced this week of Ketamine Wellness Centers, Arizona, that operates 10 ketamine infusion treatment clinics across the US. And that makes Delic the largest psychedelic wellness chain in the United States. Here to talk about is Matt. Welcome back and congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure, and yeah, it's a lot of work, but we have really strived to be the biggest and best in this space, and I think we've gotten there. And you're going to see a whole lot more from us. It's really spectacular. We now have, as you said, a chain of 12 clinics around the country in 9 states, and we serve about 60% of the population of the country have access to one of our clinics. And we believe strongly we can increase that exponentially over the next year to 2 and just see a huge growth curve, as you said.
Well, you're thinking that you're going to add on an additional 15 clinics that are in development.
That's right. We see a clear path to those 15 clinics, which puts us at 27 clinics around the country, and gives us a framework to just make psychedelic wellness accessible to everyone, which is our main goal here at Delic. We really think it's a huge opportunity to bring people wellness and bring people a way to deal with their anxiety or their depression or their PTSD. That right now they're stuck, they're at home, they can't process, they can't handle all of the stuff that comes from living in a worldwide pandemic for 18 months and all the stress and trauma. And I think it's been mounting for years before this, but with the pandemic, it's just exponentially grown the number of people who need these services. And we think there's just such a huge opportunity to build this out and become the place people think of when they think, hey, I need to reset my brain, I need to deal with my trauma, I need to deal with my anxiety, I need to deal with my depression. They think of Delic as the place to go find it.
And there are a lot of people who are talking the talk. They're talking about the opportunities in psychedelics, but you guys are really walking the walk, because in addition to the acquisition of Ketamine Wellness Centers, you also in June acquired Ketamine Infusion Centers that has 3 clinics: Phoenix, Arizona, and Bakersfield, California. What does it say about you guys that the industry, a lot of the independents, a lot of these companies that are operating on themselves, have faith in Delic to say, yeah, we want to become part of that umbrella? Because this isn't a cash out for them. They're staying there, they're working, they're doing the work, and they want to be. So what does it say about you guys and your philosophy that they're coming to you to make these mergers and acquisitions?
Yeah, I think it's really about this ecosystem we've built. The fact that we have 500,000 people coming to our website every month. We have 10,000 people coming to our event in Vegas in November. We have a real understanding of the market and a real touch point with hundreds of thousands of people interested in psychedelic wellness. And having that direct to consumer, direct to patient kind of pipeline allows us to really work on, building these businesses, working to get more patients per clinic and more dollars per patient in a really smart and beneficial way that helps people in the long run be better and live better lives and more productive and more just happier lives, right? Being happier, the pursuit of happiness is at the core of everything America is about. And I just think these technologies, these novel molecules, this psychedelic wellness is really changing how people understand mental health. And it's incredible. Like, we're talking about the business, we're talking about how remunerative it is, but it's also just, we're doing good. Every day, there's hundreds of people passing through our clinics getting better, who would be, not able to work, not able to stay in their marriage, maybe, suicide. This is real stuff that is incredible. And I think being able to do well and do good at the same time is everyone's, the reason ESG has gone so crazy. I think we're absolutely a social good, making sure that these people are able to live a better lives and have access to this technology that will make them better is so amazing. And when you ask, why do you think people are coming into the fold? I think it's because we built something that really works as a flywheel to bring people out to these clinics and really make them understand there is a better way, there is another solution, and it's available now. And ketamine exists and is fully FDA approved right now. And then MDMA and psilocybin are a year and a half away from being approved by the FDA. And we plan on being that infrastructure play for all of these novel molecules. So as the new things come online, we'll be the place people can go do it in every town USA. We think that's super important, is bringing this to the masses.
What I really love about your business plan, you touched on a lot of points there. It's, pardon the pun, but it's holistic. It's not just, all right, brute force, we're going to open as many ketamine clinics as possible, infusion clinics as possible. You've also got, you touched on it, the website brings in 500,000 people a month. And that's a big number when you consider the fact that psychedelics is still a small business.
Yep.
Right. You're not selling software. That's big. And you've got, MeetDelic, which is your psychedelic wellness event live. And that's going to be in Vegas in November. How much does it help the business at the end of the day? Because it helps your people that you're taking the time to educate. A lot of guys just trying to get revenue, which obviously is important, but you're really taking the time to educate as well.
Yeah, we think it's incredibly important that we bring people, top level information, really educate them on what's best in class. And I think, my experience in building the cannabis industry is that when these things go from black to gray to white, there's a lot of uncertainty. And so being that thought leader, being that place that people can come to understand what's best in class, and then owning the best in class chain of clinics, and then letting people know that is an option, that it is an option to find this, to get help. I think that's really what's going to make billion-dollar businesses in psychedelics. And that's where we are going right now. And I think we're very focused on building, cash flow positive businesses. So with this acquisition, we'll be on a almost $8 million run rate. We think that's really impressive in a space where most people are talking about revenues in 2025 or 2026, and we're able to talk about them, this quarter, next quarter, the following quarter. I think is really important. But as you said, it's not just about the revenue. It's also about making sure that people understand that there is a best-in-class solution that is available, that's accessible, that's affordable, and that allows them to get well and live their life in a better way. And I just think all of that is super important, because if you just come out and say, here's a ketamine treatment, people don't know what that is. They need to be educated. They need to know why that's so special, and that 70 or 80% of people are showing efficacy with mental health issues, with pain issues. The numbers are spectacular, but people don't know. And so I think that's part of our as you said, our event and our media business is really about education and letting people know that it's out there. And then we have the physical manifestation where people can actually come do the medicine and get well. And I think that's super important. Our newest chain, their tagline is Ket Well, K-E-T.
Oh, that's a great. I love smart names like that.
There you go. So
you
want to Ket Well, right? You're like, right now, ketamine is the only legal psychedelic that is approved by FDA. So I think people are looking for avenues to get better. Well, come Ket Well with us, right? We think it's incredible.
You clearly you said something that some people may have thought was crazy in our last interview when you said, I think it could be $1 trillion opportunity. But the fact of the matter is, I think, and I want to ask you, because you must be seeing the same thing, hence your growth. Are we seeing a potential paradigm shift away from traditional pharmaceuticals that don't seem like they're doing the job, because we see it everywhere. Anxiety, depression, suicide, everything is on the rise. And even before, and even before COVID, I think that was the case. So are we potentially seeing, and are you guys the tip of the spear of a major paradigm shift where the pharmaceutical industry starts to get their backs turned to them by the everyday consumer who says, hey, I'm going to go try Delic. I'm going to try ketamine, see if I can get better, because you guys just aren't cutting it.
Yeah, I think when I look at this, I think mental health particularly, right? I think you mentioned it, but last year, suicide rate was 4 times the highest it had ever been, ever, right? So you have this massive uptick. You have just 30% of people identified as anxious last year. Just the numbers are staggering. The total addressable market is in the hundreds of millions of people. So yeah, and as you said, the pharmaceutical industry doesn't have a good treatment method for a lot of these things. They don't understand how to work with the brain. And a lot of that comes from, the early research was with psychedelics and then was jerked off the market by the war on drugs. And so it got pushed underground. Now in the last 10 years, the research has come storming back, and the numbers don't lie. People lie, but numbers don't. And the numbers just don't lie. You're looking at 60.
Unfortunately, right? It's unfortunate they don't lie, but we better address this.
But you have to address that the current crop of pharmaceuticals for mental health are doing 5-10% efficacy every year, meaning 5 to 10% of people are better. Terrible numbers. And then the psychedelic stuff that's in phase 3 or ketamine are in the 60, 70, 80% range of people getting better for a full year after treatment. So you have these orders of magnitude better. And what happens when something's an order of magnitude better? It completely disrupts the current industry. So yeah, I do think that mental health, it's been a failure. The pharmaceutical address to mental health has been a failure, and psychedelics are the next thing. And they work. Every blue chip college, Imperial College of London, Johns Hopkins, NYU, they've all started psychedelic research institutes because the numbers are so staggering, not because of anything else, because they are seeing efficacy rates that are 10x what current pharmaceuticals do. So you have this outpouring of research, but it just shows you that there is a way to be better. And to me, what's so interesting about that is you're going to destigmatize mental health, because right now, if you look at mental health issues, if someone says, I have an anxiety disorder, well, that means you have an anxiety disorder for your whole life. You're never going to be treated.
Yep.
You're always going to be on a Xanax or a Vicodin or some other benzodiazepine, and instead of being open about it, you close off because you don't want people to know that you have this disorder.
You don't want to be labeled a head case for the rest of your life.
Exactly. But if we say ketamine helps 72% of the time and psilocybin helps 81% of the time, then now if you talk about it, you have an 80% chance of getting better. Then you're not a forever anxiety disorder. You say, I had an anxiety disorder and I went to one of Delic's clinics and I did a series of treatments, and I now no longer have that holding me back in my life. And it changes how you can discuss mental health, and it destigmatizes the way people understand their mental health, because no longer is it a scarlet letter that they have to wear forever if they talk about it. It's just something that you're going to go in and deal with and feel better. It's like you had an infection and you took penicillin, right? You're like, I had an infection, I took penicillin. 14 days later, I'm good.
Move on. You're not hooked on it for the rest of your life.
And move on, not hooked on it for the rest of your life, not paying the drug company once a day, right? Which I think they seem to love. But I think, here's the point though, you can still create a wonderful business, right? We're creating what we think is a wonderful business that doesn't require people to be chained to our drugs daily. It just is a modality where you can come in and you can do a course of treatments, and then
And what's a course of treatments, Matt? Like, define that. Is that 3-4 treatments?
It's typically 6 treatments.
Okay.
And then most people are then functionally out of their let's call it default mode network. They're stuck in that spinning anxiety. They're out of that, and then what happens is a lot of these people will have another thing, because it's external and internal. So something terrible will happen outside of them. It'll push them back into it, and they'll go get another booster. So they'll go do another treatment. They'll pull themselves back out of it, and they won't need it for another 6, 12, 18 months, whatever it is, until something else sends them back into that kind of space. So it really, it creates a very good business, because you have these clinics and you have a ton of patients that are a long tail that come back when they need it, but you're not creating dependency. And
you're being a good human at the end of the day.
I'm saying you're doing well. The company will do well, but you'll also do good. These people are no longer stuck. And the thing, I've heard a lot of people over the last 2 years of building this talking about their experiences, and it's like you have this, you're stuck in this, I don't even know what to call it, but like you take these substances like a benzodiazepine, like a Xanax, or like a antidepressant, and people don't feel like themselves. They don't feel like they have any kind of variability. They're just stuck in this center point without being able to be up or down. And it's like this misty fog that
it's like you're frozen. It's like they've frozen all your emotions. They've frozen your synapses flying, just so you don't get any worse. But the problem with that is you're not getting better.
You're never getting.
You feel like you're in a state of limbo suddenly.
Yeah, exactly. And so these people who are stuck there just feel like kind of general miasma, like a just crappiness. And so being able to unlock them, that's been one of the greatest things that I felt, is just talking to some of the patients and just hearing their stories about how they've gotten, better. Like they're actually able to perform at full function. They're able to go up and down, but not get stuck in the down. And they're able to function in their life, in their relationship, in their job in a way they haven't in years. And it's so beautiful. And it makes me incredibly hopeful about, the future of humanity, right? I think this is one of the big issues, one of those great issues that it affects everything else. People are arguing about homelessness here in California and up in British Columbia. And a lot of that is mental health issues that are untreated, right? And it's just like, if you can help people with their mental health, if you can get them through so that they don't get stuck or they don't get hooked on some either a drug or a pharmaceutical to self-medicate, you can really give people a much better life. And I just think it's super important.
In a lot of ways, Delic is like Disney. If you're a shareholder at Disney, you're participating in great growth, but at the same time, that most Disney customers are really happy people interacting with the brand. So that's a great thing about Delic. Talk about the future going forward. This is just your success so far has just been on ketamine, which has been amazing. But you alluded to it earlier. Legislation is going to legalize psilocybin, right? And then Molly. We call it
MDMA.
Right, and most people don't realize that's Molly, right? What's that going to do to your business in terms of growing the business? Because obviously it's going to make a lot of people feel great, which is fantastic. What do you think that's going to do in terms of turbocharging the business afterwards with those coming online?
Sure. So, MDMA and psilocybin are both completing phase 3 clinical trials. So they're going into FDA for review right now, sometime in the next month to 4 months. And what do I think that does? That creates a whole new demand stack, right? Because you look at MDMA is going to be cleared likely for PTSD, and psilocybin for depression. And I think each of those pieces will create a whole new demand stack, because there's people for whom this is clearly, as I said, the numbers don't lie. There's 70 or 80% efficacy with these substances.
Yeah, I love it.
In their phase 3 clinical trials. So there's just going to be a wash of people who have been waiting, and obviously they've been illegal and they haven't felt comfortable doing it outside of the law. They haven't felt comfortable going to another country where they have these retreats. So I think there's just a huge built-in demand. And then there's that piece, the first piece, but then it's also when people get these treatments and become better, they tell their friends, their cousins, their sisters, their brothers, their kids, right? And then all of those people become brand ambassadors because they're like, this, oh my God, it seems like you're acting like you have an anxiety disorder. You're acting like you're depressed. Well, have you thought about doing a psilocybin treatment? You seem like you have PTSD. Have you thought about doing an MDMA? Yeah, at DELC, the DELC clinics, they have an incredible process, and it's only like 6 hours, and you go in and you get out, and you've now changed your life markedly for the better. So I think it's just such a huge opportunity to build this, and that's why we want to have this giant infrastructure of clinics, because we think having that and being the trusted name that people know they can go, they can do a treatment here and then they can do a treatment there. All of those things I think make a really interesting and fun way to really change the world and build a huge business. So I just think it's pretty huge.
Last question for you, Matt, on this side, on that side of the business. How do you guys get the word out? Because are you at the point where family doctors are referring, where they say, "Hey, George, it seems like you're dealing with a little bit of this. Go to a Delic clinic," or is it you've got to do traditional marketing, search engine marketing, and word of mouth in order? How you bring in the foot traffic?
Sure.
What's your dev model?
I think it's a combination of all of those, right? So we have direct kind of referrals. We have marketing. We have, as I said, we have our own owned platform where people come to. We have hundreds of thousands of people's emails. We have this event coming up. So I think all of those different things will create a really fun ecosystem to bring a ton of traffic through the door.
Well, if the acquisition we didn't even talk about that, because that was the a federally authorized psilocybin and cannabis research lab. Then your acquisition in June of Ketamine Infusion Centers, and then this acquisition of Ketamine Wellness Centers. It seems like mergers are going to be a big part of your growth, but so should we expect more of the same for the foreseeable future in terms of M&A?
Yeah, I think we have a real buy and build kind of philosophy. So you'll see a bunch of building, and as it is strategic, I think we'll look at other acquisitions as well.
All right, great. Fantastic. Most of us over the summer were trying to take a bit of a break because we lost last summer to COVID, and we're all working, locked up, going. And I took 17 days off in August to get to California and relax. But you're just making acquisition after acquisition, so I can't wait to have you back, because it looks like there's going to be more. Last word to you. Maybe we haven't covered something. Maybe there's something we haven't emphasized. Is there something important that you want everyone to know before we sign off?
Yeah, I just think being part of the psychedelic revolution is your opportunity to get on the ground floor of the next big market, and you can change the world with your capital by investing in getting more people to get their brains well. And so I just think it's a huge opportunity for people who want to help change the world and make money. I'm super excited, and I love to be a part of it. So thank
Matt,
you.
couldn't have said better myself, and I agree. I love the double bonus of being a shareholder of Delic, which is you're part of a great growth story into a big new market. And at the same time, people are really being helped, and just, hey, next decade, by the end of 2029, on New Year's Eve going to 2030, we may have a significantly happier population base if Delic has anything to say about it. And can't wait. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Have a great one. Bye.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Matt Stang, he's CEO and founder of Delic, trades on the CSC under DELC, and for our friends in the US, DELCF. For those of you new to the story, do your due diligence, because we lost Matt. 2 ways to do that. First, get to the profile on Agoracom, because we know psychedelics are new and the company's growing so fast on multiple, under this umbrella of related businesses, there's multiple business streams that you need to get that 1,000-foot view, great overview and understanding. And then from there, link over to the Delic's website, do your deep dive due diligence, because there's no doubt that the psychedelic space is going to go through this parabolic, paradigm shifting growth cycle of the next 5 years, let alone this decade. What you got to do is discover Delic and decide if you think they're going to be part of that massive growth. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.